Today's webinar is entitled Partnering with Your Student on Their First College Experience, Tips from the Experts. We will hear from a panel of presenters, and experts they are indeed. We might call them the dream team from Student Affairs. The panel includes Dr. Heath Boyce-Barty, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs. Heath has worked as an administrator in higher education for over 20 years and is also an instructor in the College of Applied Science and Technology at RIT, where he's developed a higher education administration master's degree concentration focusing on service leadership and innovation. Heath has published and presented internationally on topics including philosophy of education and student affairs, peer education, and customer service leadership in higher education. Heath, can you say hello to everybody so they can start recognizing people's voices?
Hi, everybody. Glad to have you here.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Dawn Souffleris is Associate Vice President for Student Behavior in the Office of Student Behavior and Critical Incidents. She's spent more than 25 years working with college-age students. Her professional focus has been in the areas of college student behavior, mental health, alcohol, drug and sexual assault prevention programming, and generational theory. Dawn has spoken at numerous national conferences on topics that include managing campus critical incidents, the impact of technology on college students, teaching millennials, social norming, and working with differently abled students. Dawn, do you mind greeting our audience?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Great, thank you. Shauna Lusk is Director of the Center for Orientation and Transition, and in her role, Shauna oversees comprehensive orientation and retention programs that help to ensure the successful transition of new students and their families. Her office advocates for the needs of all students and their families and works to connect them to academic, cultural, and social resources that contribute to their holistic wellness. Shauna also serves as an adjunct instructor in the higher education program at University of Rochester. Shauna, can you please say hello?
Sure, hello.
Great. And last but not least, David Bagley is Senior Director of the Center for Residence Life. Res Life at RIT serves 7,100 students living in the RIT resident halls, Greek freestanding houses, special interest houses, lifestyle floors, the RIT Inn, Global Village, and RIT Apartments. Res Life provides staffing and supervision in all residential facilities and strives to create significant learning opportunities that enhance student development and promote a sense of campus community. David?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Great, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our esteemed panel, a group of professionals quite able to outline what your student and you can expect in the initial college experience. A note to our audience that this is the first of 2 webinars being presented this year by our Student Affairs group on student experiences outside of the classroom. The second webinar currently is scheduled for December 13th, so please keep an eye out for an announcement coming up from us as we get closer to that. And now I'll turn it over to our panel.
Great. Thank you very much. So, everybody, what we'd like to do today is we'd like to make this as interactive as possible. So I will, again, direct you to the chat feature, and certainly the 4 of us could talk for hours on this topic, but we don't want to do that. We want to hear your thoughts on everything. So we did our introductions, and really what we'd like to do today in terms of an overview is talk about a few different elements of bringing your student to college. So we'll talk about how to prepare, we'll talk about living in residence, and we'll talk about the transition issues that you can expect. So first, here's our first poll, and it would be helpful if you can share with us, do you have a child who's attending college this fall, attending college next fall, both, or you're not sure? And again, answering that poll will help give us some information into how to tailor this session for you. So you can answer that at your leisure, and we'll give you a couple minutes. But we'll jump in ahead, and you can continue to answer the poll as we move ahead. Okay, so before they go, begin the planning, and I will turn this over to Dawn Souffleris.
Hello, everyone. I look forward to talking with you today. To start off about what to look for in a campus, I just want to let you know, as was said before, I've worked in student affairs and on a campus for 25 years, but for the past 2 years, I've actually been a parent of a college student. My son just finished his sophomore year at RIT, and it's very different being on the other side of it and watching the experience happen when it's your own child. So I think that's given me a little bit of a different perspective having a son that is here as a student. So as a parent, I know that when I looked at colleges with my son, we were looking for things, or I was looking for things like how safe a campus was, what was the security mechanisms in place, was it clean? You know, that's a mother thing. You want to make sure that the place you're going is clean and neat, that you're going to be sending your son or daughter to. But I really wanted to make sure that someone was watching over my son, and certainly that the academic piece was, there for him and was a significant part of his experience. But I truly believe that our students are actually looking at different things, and I call it the niche factor. When students come to a campus and they're visiting, I truly believe they are looking to see if they see themselves on that campus and fitting in. And while their major, the academic work, is certainly a priority for students as they're searching for a college, being able to see themselves on that campus and fitting in is probably the most important piece for them in terms of choosing a college, other than the financial aspect. And so, I highly encourage, as you begin looking for colleges for your son or daughter, is to make sure that you're there and perhaps there when there are other students. Seeing a campus during the summertime is very different than seeing a campus in the fall, winter, or spring. So if you can get there while there are students there, so your son or daughter will be able to see if they feel like they'd fit in, that's very, very important. And thinking about, and points to ponder as you're beginning to help them get ready for the transition, is that they need to be autonomous. You need to be thinking about how to make them autonomous, because when they come to college, there's not going to be bed checks. No one's going to watch what they're eating or when they go to class. They have to be able to manage for themselves. And the students that we sometimes see struggle are the ones that are not ready to be autonomous. So providing them opportunities to be autonomous while they're still with you at home is really terrific. The other piece I'd like to really foster today is beginning the special conversations with your students now, whether they're going to college in the fall or 2 falls from now. One is to talk about what are the expectations for communication with your son or daughter. Are you going to be talking to each other daily, weekly, monthly? What mode are you going to use? Will it be phone calls? We see many of our students texting their parents. But one thing I'd like to share is that they need to stand on their own 2 feet. So maybe texting them every single moment of every day, reminding them of where they have to be and whether they've eaten that day or not, may not be the way to foster that autonomy. But you want to have that conversation up front. And we really hope that you'll have those uncomfortable conversations with your students before they arrive at any campus. Those conversations about alcohol and responsibility, drugs, sexual activity, what to do if they are really struggling or they feel stressed, and things about mental health. It's important to talk about those things now and continue to talk about these things until your son or daughter arrive on the campus that they're going to be attending. I also want to talk a little bit about transition, how to prepare yourself and prepare your student for the transition. And it never isn't too early of a time to do that. One thing would be, again, about the autonomy. Can they do laundry? As simple as doing laundry. Many of our students come and they don't even know how to wash and dry their clothes. So things like being able to do their laundry, talking about money, talking about cooking and other ways to manage their health. Helping them make decisions. They really need to be making decisions on their own. And even talking about sleeping and all the other things that are health associated and how they're going to manage. But when they get here, or whatever campus they choose, they're going to go through an incredible lifestyle change. They will become nocturnal animals, and so when they come back to you on vacation or on a weekend, they will not be going to bed at 11 or 12 o'clock. In fact, their day may begin at 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, being social and going out with their friends. They're going to push boundaries. But by talking about it with them and also preparing yourselves for that change, it'll probably make that transition a little bit easier.
Thanks, Don. I think you raised really a lot of points, and I will highlight from poll 1 that the majority of participants, their children will be attending college this fall. So it's steaming right ahead.
Right here, right now.
And, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, you talk about transition, and I'm thinking about some of the challenges. And I would suspect that there are some topics that maybe we as parents have not broached yet. And, you know, the question becomes, from your advice, from your perspective, we should have difficult conversations now to avoid having them in the fall when we're not with them. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really important to talk about those hot topics. And on campuses, the hot topics really are alcohol, drugs, sexual activity, giving consent, and then what to do if they are struggling or they are not doing well. But having those expectations really up front. I know that I started having those conversations with my son when he was in 10th grade, and we were talking all the time, but we started having those as early as possible. So it's not too late, though, to have those conversations, especially if they're going to a campus this fall.
And I'm sure there are some of us who think, oh, you know, if I haven't had it yet, I don't need to have those conversations, but we should.
Absolutely
right?
should.
Okay. I also remembered when you talked about transition, I remembered that I did not know how to do laundry, or I thought I knew how to do laundry, and my advice to parents is make sure your child knows not to wash brand new towels with anything else, because everything else gets fuzzy.
Especially if they're navy blue. And
they were.
All navy blue and fuzzy.
I had navy blue towels.
Yeah.
Let me alert everyone, poll number 2, and again, this goes along with transition. So what is your biggest worry about your child going to college? Are you worried about missing them, that they'll struggle, their safety, all of the above, or you could jump in on chat and tell us something else. We're going to jump in on chat. All right, so if you have something, we will see it. All right, so let's go, so there is a question on chat. So let's say they're worried about the transition from high school to college, workload, and I think this is a great question, the fear for asking for help, right? Because as you said, Dawn, they're home, and as a parent, you may say to them, hey, do you need help with this, or do you need help with that? But when you're in college, you don't get a lot of that. So what are your thoughts on that? How do we prepare someone for that?
The workload is very different. Even if your son or daughter have taken AP classes or honors classes, the workload is different. There is no one reminding them, like teachers do in high school, to say exams are, an exam is tomorrow or something is due 3 weeks from now. They get a syllabus in the beginning of the semester, and they need to follow that. And so making sure that they have some way of keeping a calendar, whether it's a paper calendar, they use their phone, their computer, their tablet, so that they can schedule things, it's really important. Making friends and seeing their academic advisor is critical. In high school, the guidance counselor will call you down every once in a while to kind of check in. The academic advisor may do that once during the academic year, but for them to see their advisor regularly to check in and kind of get some feedback about how things are going is really critical for them in their success. It's very different. When they're in school, it's very structured in high school. They're in there, 7, 8 hours a day. They may only have 2 or 3 hours of class in one day. So it looks like they have a lot of free time, but it's learning how to structure that free time. That's what's really going to make or break their success.
And I'm wondering, another question has come in about worried about my son or daughter making friends and what kind of friends they're making. So I wonder, even for the entire group, Dave and Shauna, how as parents can we get any kind of a pulse on what kind of friends are they making? Are they making the right friends? Any thoughts on that?
During new student orientation, we certainly make sure that our upper class orientation assistants are working with our new students to introduce them to resources, to other students with similar interests, to clubs and organizations that may also be of interest to them. So we do everything that we can to make sure that they're connected to students who have similar interests, are possibly looking for opportunities to get involved on campus, and would like to meet students like yours. I would say for folks who are sending their students to RIT in particular, we have a pretty broad range of students here. We've got art students and tech students. We have really the gamut, and so there is someone for everybody here. In terms of how you will know the types of friends they're making, I think this is a great opportunity for you to have a conversation as an adult person to an adult person about making smart choices and about the type of person that they would like to be and how their friends are a reflection of them. Then that's something that I'm not sure you can always monitor, and it's a certain degree of trust that you need to have that you've raised a student who is intelligent enough and has the personal ability and wherewithal to make it to college, that they'll also make good choices about the people with whom they choose to associate. On the flip side of that, not everyone does make smart choices, and we also have resources available to assist students who may need a little extra help in identifying how to stay within those boundaries.
I always think it's a generational thing, right? You know, the questions that we might have asked a potential friend, where are you from? You know, what music do you like? You know, I talk to students, new students, lots of different students, and they don't know any of those things. You know, well, where's your roommate from? I don't know. You know, Dave, any thoughts on that? Like,
yeah, and I think the common thread here between Dawn and Sean and Heath chiming in is that a conversation before they land on our campus or your campus or whatever campus they're going to, having those hard conversations. In residence life, we try to treat the students as adults. I know that can be hard to hear that in some cases, but most students are coming to us as traditional age, 18, 19 years old. Yes, we have some minors and we work through those, but having that hard conversation about choices and values and the values that you have instilled in them as kids and now that as they're transitioning into adulthood. The beautiful thing about a college campus is there's just so much. Most campuses that I've been associated with in any form or fashion are diverse, and there's a lot of opportunities to get involved in different clubs, different types of majors, different types of organizations, all an opportunity for them to find their niche. So again, working with them through that. In residence life, we take a lot of pride in what we call community building, and our staff typically resident advisors. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term RA, and there's a lot of different ways and what that means, but RAs typically in support of an orientation program help in that transition and can help with some of those hard conversations that maybe they had, but now they don't know how to take the next step. So
all you can do is hope that the values you've instilled in them and the conversations that you've had with them all along take effect when they're out on their own, standing on their own 2 feet. And that comes with making mistakes too. And we have to let them make mistakes. That's part of the growing up process. And
feel confident that there are people on campus available for your student if he or she should need some additional assistance. And this is a great time to talk to your student about advocating for him or herself if they're having some problems, because it's a great growing opportunity for them as well.
Great. Really appreciate that. Why don't we jump into poll number 3. Do you expect that your child will live on campus, live off campus, or you're still not sure? Obviously, living on campus there are lots of different issues associated with that, as with living off campus. So, Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about the value of living on versus living off?
Absolutely. And we have a mixed group. A majority of the folks will be sending their son or daughter probably to a campus next month. It's hard to believe we're already in mid-July, but just like ourselves, many campuses are preparing for their arrivals. One thing I'd like to talk about is the opportunity to live on campus. Yes, that can be daunting and it can be expensive. Well, I'm sure you've heard about the value in regards to you have obviously the tuition dollars, but what does living on campus really mean? And I've been in on-campus housing res life world now for 16 years. And I've seen a lot of great opportunities. Yes, we have challenges, just as you might expect, but there's much more upside than there is downside. We see it as great communities, I mentioned that before, where we can really help embrace the entire college experience. They have to obviously put their head on a pillow at some point in the day. They obviously are going to meet some friends, both intentionally and unintentionally, and we help work through that. But we also are, in most cases here at RIT, we're very connected to the different resources. All of our staff are going through training opportunities starting in the next few weeks, where different resources will actually come in and tell us about some of the great opportunities to connect or to get students to their offices. There's a lot of fun in regards to the campus life side of the house. Different programs that other offices put on. We encourage our students to get to these programs, a great opportunity to meet other students, a great opportunity to learn something new, and we can really help with that. We also think of ourselves as educators outside the classroom. We try to put on different types of initiatives, educational awareness opportunities, so the students can really have a better understanding. Again, Dawn mentioned earlier some of the challenges with alcohol, other drugs, sexual awareness. Yes, you can have that conversation, but we're going to take it to the next level in regards to experts and speakers and different types of trainings, if you will. So the students really, as young adults, if you will, have a great opportunity to grow, have a better understanding of the dangers and some of the challenges that are out there. I mentioned the word live with friends. I think that's important, and they're not going to get along with every person that they meet. That's just human nature, but there is an opportunity, and there's some really great value, and especially those first 6 weeks of a college term, of a fall semester, to really learn about themselves, get out of their comfort zone. We like to say that a lot. It's amazing what they know about themselves and what you've done for them as parents already, and really taking it to the next step. One of the big things that, and I've seen it a couple of times in regards to the safety piece, and that's another huge, I think, value and a big plus. Res Life programs are what we refer to as 24/7. Yes, we're available throughout a normal business day, but we have on-call systems just like every campus in regards to staff that are on call, staff that have duty phones, responding to issues, responding to problems. In every case, we respond, and we work very closely with public safety programs. We work hand in hand with the folks, both on awareness and response, and making sure that we're creating safe spaces for our students. And in the event of a challenge, an issue, we're responding accordingly and getting out in front of whatever we need to. I think at this point, again, I mentioned before the value from a cost standpoint. Typically, most programs, it's all-inclusive, whether it's laundry, internet, cable, if you will. Those are all included, and sometimes you lose sight of that as you're looking maybe potentially to go off campus at some point. Obviously, the energy bills are paid. Some campuses have air conditioning, some do not. Some of those things you don't want to look at. Typically, in a on-campus living experience, you'd have dining options, and what another great opportunity to build friends around and build community around food. At RIT, oh my goodness, I think we're up to 23 different locations where our students can use their meal plans, and they work very hard at meeting the needs for our students. And I think just being close to campus, being able to wake up at 7:50 and get to that 8 o'clock class, there's some value in that. And we can chuckle, put the hat on or whatever, put the sweatpants on and the hoodie, and walk across to get to their class. There's some value in that. So these are some things that I truly believe in, and again, as my role as in residence life and over the years, and I've seen some really good things that have happened because of it. So.
Well, and it's also the late night. Right? You know, it's 10 o'clock at night and there's an event, and then you go and grab a snack or something afterward, and if you're commuting, that you may not be as inclined to do that, especially if there's a snowstorm or something like that, right?
Absolutely. Again, a lot, Dawn mentioned earlier, the nocturnal. They're going to enjoy opportunities to stay up into the wee hours of the morning. I joke with some of my student staff. I'm an early riser. I usually get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. In many cases, I joke that our students are going to bed at that time. So after a night of studying and sharing different opportunities. So.
Yeah, a night full of studying.
I would add, too, that certainly we encourage students, particularly first-year students, to live on campus, and RIT does have a live-on requirement for first-year students with just a couple of exceptions. We do know that some of our students, for whatever the reason, are commuter students, and we certainly do encourage those students, particularly to get involved with some of the opportunities that are available. Most campuses will have an office that works, or an organization that works specifically with commuters. During orientation, they will have an opportunity to meet and mingle with some other commuter students. So while we think that the experience on campus is certainly a wonderful one and most students really benefit, there are some students that, for, again, whatever reason, aren't able to participate in that on-campus living experience, but we still want them to be involved in the on-campus learning experience, however they do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I'm wondering for everybody here, now probably is about the time in the summer, and if it hasn't happened already, it will happen pretty quickly, where I'm going to get the name of my roommate. Are there particular strategies for how to make that initial connection with a roommate? You know, I know it's, again, it's very different than when I went to college. You know, I think I got the roommate's name, address, maybe phone number, I don't remember, but that was, I had to call them. There was no Facebook, any of that. You know, there was no, I couldn't stalk my roommate in advance.
That doesn't sound so good.
I know, it doesn't.
It was
right.
probably lucky for him.
Yeah, it really was. So any, you know, what are some tips, you know, that we can give people in how to make that first connection?
Well, Dr. Heath, when he uses the term stalk, nowadays it has to do with social media.
Right, of course.
The four of us did not have that luxury, amenity, whatever, that option, if you will, a few moons ago when we were going through the process. But it's out there, and it is what it is, and we try to embrace it. Heath's right. They're going to get their information very soon if they haven't already, if they haven't had opportunity to pick that roommate. And 99% of the time, they're going to go right to Facebook or Twitter or some other forum and say, "Oh my goodness, I can't live with this person because of this picture," or "I can't live with this person because of this of who they're associated or whatever." Pick up the phone. I think the old-fashioned way of getting this, there's always a number to connect with. Pick up the phone, have that conversation, start to talk about interests, talk about where they're from. I think it's there's tremendous value of having that conversation. Is it always possible? No, we recognize that between summer and summer camps and travel, that might not happen right away. But the systems in place these days in regards to assigning roommates are pretty good. It's like eharmony.com or eroommate.com, and there's research that goes into those systems that tell us that these students, there's a good chance that they can live together. Are they 100% accurate? Absolutely not. And that's when Res Life folks, in partnership with housing operations, can really work together to work through some of those differences. So have that conversation about what to bring, what to share. Those rooms that the students will be living in, the old-fashioned, using the term dorm, are not very big. And I would bet that when your students get here next month or wherever campus they're going to, the room that they're going to is probably smaller than the room that they currently live in. And there's probably a good chance that they don't have a roommate with a loved one or a sibling. So think about that scenario. So what a great opportunity to really start to build something, and if you embrace that opportunity as such, good things can happen.
I think those are great points, you know, and I'm thinking about, you know, the eHarmony. You know, I think probably students need to know that, you know, not everyone might have been as truthful in their living profile as, you know, as they truly are. So if you see a photo on Facebook, that may not exactly be who they are. You know, perhaps I embellished, you know, maybe I'm not 6 feet tall, you know, lots of things.
Well, I would also add that a lot of times in the housing, and we love you, parents. We really do. We love to partner with you. But we do know that sometimes when students are filling out their housing survey or preferences, they may be doing that in partnership with a parent. And so they may not give the answers that, although we believe that they would truthfully talk with you about most things, they may have some other living desires that they don't want to necessarily share in front of you if you're doing that with them. So we do see, I think, that during orientation as well. Sometimes students come and they've been placed with someone who they're not 100% comfortable with for sometimes that reason. But there was also a recent research study, actually. It was just printed in a journal that came out this month that shows that students who do interact with a roommate via social media before they arrive on campus are significantly more likely to have a good roommate relationship. And so we know that those avenues are working in some ways.
And it can start as basic as, what are you going to bring, who's going to have the fridge. Yeah. I know for my son it was who had the fridge and who was going to have the ice maker. Because, of course, every student needs an ice maker. No, not really, but that was important for him and his roommate in some way.
Why did they need that, Dawn?
Well, because they like cold water is what I was told. And so he, maybe perhaps not cold water, but they wanted an ice maker. So that's fostered a conversation, and most of it took place over texting, but it still was a conversation, different than what we're used to, but at least it started that. We see a lot of our women talk to their roommates to coordinate colors, and there's a significant difference of walking into a male room and a female room, because often for our women, the comforters are coordinated. They've talked about, colors and things like that. Dr. Heath is making a face, but
really?
It's true. Oh, absolutely. You have little girls, just wait. But for the boys, it's far more about stuff. Who's bringing the stereo, who's bringing the sporting equipment. But that's a great first connection that our students can make with each other, is by who's bringing what.
I'm going to tell you, my freshman year roommate, Dickie, and I did not consult each other on what color our comforters were.
I'm not surprised by this.
Maybe he was freaked out because you stalked him.
Well, no, I couldn't stalk him. There was no Facebook. But how about now we'll jump into, in the majority of you said that you're heading to campus this fall, some more tips on what you can do.
Absolutely. Make sure you read the website if you haven't already. What materials are already provided in the hall, what do they suggest to bring, what's in the rooms. Again, typically they're furnished. At RIT, they certainly are, specifically in the residence halls, but some campuses may not. So just making sure that you know what's there and what's available. Make sure, we just talked about making sure we're connecting, your son or daughter is connecting with their suite mates, roommates. A suite situation might be where there might be 3 or 4 students into one area where they share a common bathroom. Then you want to have the conversation about who potentially would be helping to maintain and clean those bathrooms. Most facility staffs will have them ready for you upon your arrival, but they won't go in there over the course of the year. So some of those other deeper conversations in regards to maintenance and as the year goes on. It's important to remember that those, I mentioned earlier, those rooms can be small. Again, they have the bed, and many times they're on stilts or they're bunked, and they try to make the best use of the space. But there's not a lot of room in there. We, as residence hall housing professionals, need to try to get as many students in there to obviously meet the need in regards to space. Many campuses try to run at 100% occupancy in regards to supporting the community and the demand. So that's why they're their size, and it's important, as Dawn said, to make sure those conversations are taking place. And it's a great opportunity to start to get to know each other, interests, likes, dislikes, and it'll help in the process. So, and typically there's opportunities between October break, Thanksgiving breaks, winter session. discretion to bring stuff home, take things back. Again, different seasons depending on where they're going. We have the opportunity, luxury, or the curse, if you will, to have all 4 seasons here in Western New York, as you all know as alum. And so whether sweaters, heavy jackets for our heavy winters, and then August, September can be very warm, very humid. So just working through that and making sure that they're thinking through what they're bringing. And then just a reminder, most schools do not have any form of storage. So you might bring all the totes and the big bags and stuff. Might be an opportunity when you leave and when you drop them off to take them back with you. So
I always think it's funny during move-in day to see the stuff that doesn't fit and ends up going back in the car. And I know that as a parent, it's we want to come prepared and we want to make sure they have a semester's worth of laundry detergent, but also most schools, we have a Target down the road, and there's opportunities to buy cereal and laundry detergent in October if we should need it, right?
The scariest experience I had with my son when he came as a freshman is that I felt he needed 3 sets of sheets. So I purchased 3 sets of sheets, very nice, all color coordinated, and when he came home at the end of his freshman year, 2 sets of the sheets were still in the plastic wrap that we had bought it from Target, and he just used 1 set of sheets for the entire year. And I did ask the question if they were washed during the year, and his response was, we probably should just throw these away. And that is what I did. I did not try to disinfect them, and he's actually a clean-looking kid, but yeah. So less may be more, 2 sets of sheets may be 1 too many, or 2 sets of towels may even be 1 too many. Again, you know your son or daughter better than we all do, but less is more. And every time they come home, tell them to bring some things home that they don't need anymore. That will make the pickup or the home trip in the spring at the end of the academic year far easier. Because you'd be surprised, they will not only have the things that they came with, but they will accumulate more T-shirts than you can possibly imagine and other things that will be coming with them. So if they can just little by little bring things home, it will make your lives much happier.
I did hear a really great tip about towels. From the mom of an incoming student, that she's giving her student a set of their towels from home, and then she's getting new towels. So the student doesn't have to worry about washing and having fuzz everywhere. They have absorbent towels, and she gets to redecorate. So I think that's a win-win.
I like her thinking.
Win-win.
That's great. I not having fuzz on your jeans is worth everything. I'm just going to say. So, all right, Shauna. So now, the departure is imminent. It's going to happen. What can parents do in advance to help, again, with the transition and make prepare?
So I think you've made a great first step by tuning into this webinar because you're hearing from some folks who deal with this a lot. I think that there's a real important connection and bond that you can have with other parents who are going through the same experience that you are, whether your student is a junior and going to be a rising senior looking at colleges. Connect with some other parents who are going through the same experience. I know Dawn talked about doing some visits with other families, and so it can kind of help lighten the tension if you've got some other folks to debrief that with, other than just your student, because although, again, we think your students are great and intelligent and able to make smart choices, sometimes it's great just to have that interaction with another parent who's thinking about how can we afford the cost of XYZ private school that my son would like to go to, or my daughter decided she would like to go to school in Los Angeles and we live in Albany, and so how can we navigate her being really far away from home? So all of those things I think are really helpful to talk with some others about. For families who are sending students to RIT, we, again, use quite a bit of social media, but we do have a really active Facebook group for parents of our incoming students. They've made connections with one another. Some of them are meeting in their hometowns. Some of them have already connected about rides for holidays. They're meeting for coffee when they get here on move-in day. I mean, I think there's just some real benefit to connecting with others, even if it's virtually. And make sure that you're engaged with the university when you're preparing to send your student or to bring your student. There's lots of information that flies around. Well, I heard this, or I thought I got a letter that said this about some topic, or I heard that in residence life there are full kitchens on every floor, or whatever it may be. Make sure that you're connected with the actual source who can answer questions appropriately and accurately. So if you've got a question about residence life or housing, please feel free to call those offices. We also have emails that we check regularly, particularly during this time of year. Undergraduate admissions will connect you with wherever you need to go. But if you're unsure about something, don't always depend on other people to give you that information. Get it from the source. And I think another great thing that we like to talk about with parents, both at orientation, and we encourage them to have a conversation with their student before they get here, is how you'll communicate with your student while they're here. It seems like it might be kind of far away right now to do that, and maybe for some of you, you'll just have to do trial and error once your student gets here and how they're going to communicate with you. But I can't tell you the number of times I hear from families how disappointed they are that they don't get regular phone calls from their student, that it's maybe a quick text message on their way to class, or it's a 2-line email, please send money, I'm going on spring break to Cancun, or whatever the case is. But it's a great conversation to talk about what your expectation is as a parent or family member. Do you want to set up a time on Sunday afternoons, every Sunday at 4 o'clock? It's a phone call, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes. Do you text every morning with a good morning, I'm on my way to class? Whatever that is, and however you want to do that, that's a great conversation to have. Something else that isn't here on the list on the screen, but finances is another great conversation to have. Are you going to be sponsoring weekly trips to the mall for the most current pair of sneakers? Is it an emergency that your daughter got asked to a dance and needs a new dress? How are you as a family going to deal with those extra expenses that come up? Those things are better to prepare for in advance than to have them come out of nowhere and have never talked about them.
It's funny, Sean, I still call my mother on Sunday afternoons, and that started when, I lived in the dorm, and there was one payphone, and we all waited in line for the payphone, and, that's that. So, and then I was remembering that there was a parent who recently sent her daughter to college, and she had something where, on a Saturday morning or a Friday night, text me before you go to bed so I know that you made it to your room, and those sorts of things. So those are the things that you'll want to communicate about. But you've got some other things.
Yeah. And just some information about why we feel that orientation, both for new students and families, is important. So when you get ready to take your student whatever institution he or she is going to be attending, all colleges have some form of orientation. So for us at RIT, and I've worked at several institutions, and really the goals and mission have been similar. We focus on cultural, social, and academic acclimation. So we want to make sure that your student is not just sitting in their room the 4 or 5 days before the school year starts. We want to make sure they're meeting people, that they're familiar with people they might see in their classes, that they have someone to eat with, which we might laugh about, but that can be one of the most intimidating things, and why students say sometimes they don't come out of their rooms for meals is because they don't want to sit alone in the dining facilities. So we do our best to make sure that they're connected in all of those ways. We want them to have some upperclassmen who can serve as role models and mentors and answer questions. And they do answer questions honestly. They're very well trained, and we expect that they give accurate information. But it's also from a student perspective, which we feel is really important. We can give them all the information we think they need, but really they would prefer to hear that often from a student. The first 10 days on any college campus, there's been a lot of research about this period of time as well. The first 10 days will make or break the college experience for students. So if we aren't able to engage them, or whatever institution doesn't engage them and welcome them and make them feel a part of the community within the first 10 days, the likelihood that they will never feel connected to that institution is very high. So we work very hard to engage students early on to help them navigate through the rough spots, to get them connected to resources, and really to help them be self-sufficient if they should need to advocate for themselves for anything.
I think it's really important when you say about orientation. You know, sometimes students just don't want to go to orientation. And, you know, they might tell their parents, oh, I don't need to, I've already been there, I know it. The real reason why they don't want to go to orientation is because it's new, it's different, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So would you just recommend parents should say, oh, no, you're going to orientation?
Yeah, it really does need to be a non-negotiable, because even though it might feel like you're ripping the Band-Aid off or they're jumping right off the high dive, we are not going to let your student flounder. We are not going to let them sit and be lonely in their room. We are certainly not going to let them get homesick. There are activities from sunup to sundown. There are trained students who work with the orientation program. Dave's got trained staff who work in the residence halls. We do everything in our power to make sure that they're connected. And so for you as a family member, making sure that they attend and encouraging them. And here's another tip. You will likely get a phone call when your student is in crisis, in what they feel is a crisis or panic mode. And so, here we go, transition tips. There it is.
Perfect.
Learn to listen and let go. Don't get in the car and drive to Rochester because your student is in a crisis. I guarantee that if you wait 24 hours, in 95% of situations, you'll call your student to check in and they'll say, what are you talking about? I'm fine, everything's fine. There was no problem, because you're their first line of defense in an immediate situation. So that transition tip number 1, although on the list it looks like it's number 3 or 2. But other things to think about, your student will always appreciate cards, letters, and packages from home, even if it's just, you know, the dollar section at Target always has cards. I stack up on them. I use them for everything under the sun. Get 10 of those cards, pre-address them, drop one in the mail once a month or every other week. Your student will go to their mailbox and will never be happier than there's something from you, even if it's something small and silly. I'm sorry. Don't feel like you have to send huge care packages full of all sorts of goodies for them to feel satisfied. As long as they're from you and from the heart, they mean more than you'll really ever know on the sending end. They love you to visit, but not unannounced. Please realize they're now adults. And even though they're 18 and they're still your baby, we're training them to be adults. And don't visit too often. Let your student dictate when they want you to come and how long they'd love you to stay. And again, all of us are here to help. So if there's ever a question, a concern, anyone on campus is a great resource for you to reach out to. And if we can't answer the question, we'll get you to where you need to go.
And I think that's a great tip, because from a distance, what you want to do if somebody does call panicked, you say, did you talk to your RA? Did you talk to your orientation assistant? Did you go to the vice president's office? Use someone on campus, because you're not there. Final poll, is your child definitely attending RIT, possibly attending RIT, not attending RIT, or still not sure? We just wanted to know. And let's see, we've got another question. Yeah, a question about the transition and second semester really hard for first-year students. Anyone want to jump in on that? with some experience on that. Dawn?
I think it can be difficult for students. First of all, if they have not done as well academically as they would have liked the first semester, they may be a little bit under pressure and some stress to do better the second semester. Either their program and department have put them under some pressure, or maybe you as parents have put them under pressure, or their own, they may have been really a great student in high school and just have not acclimated to how the workload flows here, and so there may be some pressure that way. They've also are coming back from normally a relatively long time at home between semesters. So it really is a full new transition again. They've reconnected probably over the holidays with friends from high school, an old boyfriend or girlfriend, gotten into some of the home life activities again, and then have to uproot and come back. And for some of our first-year students, that's really difficult to retransition. For our upper-class students, they can't wait to come back. In fact, they're leaving early and trying to figure out how to get back into their residence hall or apartment early. But for first-year students, that can be really difficult. And also just learning, again, first semester courses are often, sometimes, depending on the high school they went to, are sometimes repeats of information that they had in high school. So when they get to the second semester, they're really starting to get into their major or far more in-depth academically in their courses of study. And so it may be more difficult, or they may decide, this is really not the major for me. I didn't realize that computer science meant programming rather than making software, or I didn't realize that, applied mathematics was going to be really all about trig and not necessarily about calculus. And so it's a time where they may come back to you and say, I don't like this major, and I really don't know what to do. And, we would hope that you would encourage a student to go see their academic advisor and to talk about that. Not to scare you, but most students, by research, change their major 4 to 7 times when they're in college. It may not be a huge change, but or it may be. They may come in as engineers and want to be in the jewelry making program at RIT. So it may really be dependent on what your son or daughter's interests are, but just be prepared, because they may start to question what major they've picked as they get more in depth. So just be prepared. Sometimes spring can be a difficult time. And also, if they are coming to RIT or a school in the Northeast, it is the time where there is clouds and there is snow and it's cold, and that can really impact homesickness and some other things as they are trying to manage that second semester. And so, just watch for signs, talk to your student openly, and then be prepared for that.
At RIT, I'll use us as an example, but we, Residence Life, the Center for Orientation and Transition, and the Academic Support Center have partnered to develop a curriculum for the entire first year that includes out-of-classroom opportunities for students. So we're aware that the balloons and the dance parties that happen, at the beginning of the year, it's a letdown when those don't happen all year long. And so we're working hard to make sure that we're still engaging students and keeping them connected at the critical times throughout that first year, so that we don't have that letdown, or that the honeymoon will end. The newness wears off. The excitement, the glitter and the jazz hands don't stay. But we want to make sure that they transition into a different happy place as well.
And I think we would all agree that the first year of college, it's all a transition. It's not just the first semester, because it's everything. So I think that, as parents or even as students, if we can approach it as though the entire first year should be a transition, then I think the expectations will be right, so that we're not disappointed.
And it's a transition for you too, as parents and families. So don't beat yourselves up in any way. It's a transition from them living at home. It's a transition to them being, instead of your baby, they're now an adult peer of sorts, and that doesn't end. You're in a constant state of transition. So and that's okay and natural.
It's actually very exciting to watch the change and watch them grow up. I know it's been really neat to watch Christopher over 2 years. It's been neat. Difficult, but it's a neat experience to see them grow up and really, span their wings.
Well, thank you, and you know, on behalf of everyone on the panel, I would like to say good luck. You'll be fine, but remember, you're not doing this alone. There are people on campus, wherever you go, who are ready and trained to help you, and certainly here at RIT, whether your son or daughter is coming here or not, you know, as alum, we are certainly here as resources for you as well. So good luck, and let us know if we can help.
Okay, thank you. That's all the time we have for today. Any additional questions that you may have can be emailed to ritalum@rit.edu, or you can tweet them at rit_alumni with the hashtag #MeRTWebinars, and we will direct your questions to the panel members. All participants will receive an email from us in the next few days with a link for today's webinar recording if you'd like to re-listen to it. And again, many thanks to our panel members, Heath, Dawn, Shauna, and David, for sharing their tips with you. And especially thank you to you on the phone for joining us. We thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. Just to let you know, backed by popular demand, RIT webinars are now presented twice a month. Join us for the next installment in the summer 2014 series on Thursday, July 31st, where we welcome Peter Gabeck, which RIT Structure and Museum Studies. Peter's going to present to us the Smart Traveler, bringing the past to life while making memories to last a lifetime.